Welcome back to Just Got Played. This is Jim Jam, and I'm with Lloyd. And you saw the other video where we talked about Star Wars Outer Rim, the base game. We're going to talk about the expansion, Unfinished Business. And here's how to play.
Hey, so this is Star Wars Outer Rim, and we're going to be going over the Unfinished Business expansion and what it adds. For a look at the overview of Star Wars Outer Rim, the base game, check our other video that is a review of Star Wars Outer Rim, and it goes over the ins and outs of how the base game works. Today, we're just going to cover what's added by the Unfinished Business expansion and some of the rules, changes, and updates that they've included in the game. So first off, they give you some extra dice, which is nice. It just makes rolling for checks a little bit easier since you have a couple more dice to roll. The next thing that they're going to give you are these debt tokens. So these debt tokens, favor tokens, essentially in the base game, you can trade favors. It's briefly covered in the rules. But what this allows you to do is you can ask someone for help with something and give them this debt token. Now, if you've seen John Wick, you know that this is basically like the blood oath medallion. They can cash this in at any point, and you can't say no. So if you ask them for, hey, I really want to buy this ship, I need 10,000 credits, and you borrow it from them, you give them this debt token, and then they can turn this in for whatever they want later in the game, or they can trade this debt token to other players. So they could say, hey, if you help me, I will give you my debt token and this other person's debt token so that I can really get this thing. And then they're basically trading your debt to someone else, which is kind of cool. The next thing that they are going to add is, first off, we can get rid of these end caps because what they've added in here is the core worlds. So these are a cut through between the ends of the rim here. So these are actually going to come back here, and these are going to come back here. So the core worlds are two new spaces that you can encounter. They do come with one shared deck. We'll just put that there. And what the core worlds allow you to do is you can stop there and have an encounter, or if you want to cut across instead of having to go all the way around, you can announce that you want to cross the galaxy. So what that allows you to do is if you are here and you decide to cross the galaxy, you will resolve this across the galaxy encounter down here on the bottom. And assuming it comes out right and you do fine, it's going to allow you to just transport to the other side of the map, which is very helpful. Whenever you buy something over here in Naboo and it's got to get all the way over here to Cantonica, you can just shortcut, assuming you're in good standing or not negative standing with the Imperial Empire, right? So the core worlds adds that nifty new little feature, which is actually very, very helpful. Along with the core worlds cards, each of these decks also is going to get new cards added to it. And they've filled out a lot of the numbers that are in here. And a lot of the cards now have multiple resolutions. So whenever it says the resolve card 56, you choose one of the 256 cards. So it's going to change up your game a little bit and allow you to have a slightly different experience. So you won't exactly know what to expect if you've played this game, dozens and dozens of times. The next thing that the game adds are these ambitions. So ambitions are an extra thing that you can add to the game to, add a little bit more of an RPG element to your game. So in this one, you have the Pirate Monarch. It's going to tell you a slightly different starting setup than the base game. It's going to tell you kind of what you're going to need in order to get through these objectives here. And then it's going to give you a list of things that you need to do, sometimes in a particular order. Sometimes they can be done in any order. Sometimes they need to be constant. So this one is always checking. And then you have the final goal, which you cannot complete unless you've actually made it to the final fame cap of the game. So you could change the game to be an 8 fame. And then at 8 fame, you can do this particular goal once you've completed everything else, and you can complete that goal. And that's the only way you can win the game, is to complete this goal. And if you notice, there's a little slot here for them. They just kind of slot onto the other side of the card. I've run out of room in order to give you a setup, but that's what you're going to do. And you're just going to track these with these little yellow markers. So as you complete these, you just, mark them off that you've completed them. Okay, so one of the other things the game has added, they've added more cards into the deck, to all of these decks. And one of the cool things they've added, which I can't seem to find any, is they've added a new icon that will flip over contact tokens whenever you're buying cards from the market. So if you buy a card from the market and this card comes up, if you're playing with 1 to 2 players, which we are, you would flip a contact on the planet you're on. So you can flip any one contact, and you're going to get that flip for free just by doing the market action, which is very helpful because now you can decide if you want to encounter that, or if you don't, you can just encounter the planet instead. So it's a very nice addition, and it helps with the bounty hunter goal, which a lot of the bounty hunter in the base game was a lot of, hunting and pecking around the board, trying to find that one green thing that you needed and wasting an entire encounter step just to flip over a token. This kind of alleviates that problem because everyone will be flipping tokens, so it's easier for your bounty to come up. One of the other things that was added are these new orange tokens, and basically you're going to put these contact tokens on the planet. So these contact tokens are, if you are going to encounter them, are actually much harder than some of the other contacts in the game. And I missed one there. Right, so you got some more contacts to look at and encounter. So those have been added also to the bounty deck. They've added a ton of new characters like Black Chrysanthemum, Infest Nest, Chewbacca, among others. I think there was 8 new characters. They've also added, I think, 8 new ships. One of the other things that was added is now, instead of just discarding one card from the top to see what's next, you can discard the top 2 cards, so you can really hunt through this deck to see what you're looking for. If you're looking for specific bounties or specific items, that allows you to cycle through the deck a little bit faster. The last major addition that they added was they added a bounty hunter AI deck. So now all of the characters that are bounty hunters have a bounty hunter card that is specific to them, that'll allow you to shuffle this deck so it won't be the same order the entire time. So you will play against, if you play against Black Chrysanthemum, you will take, we've got Boba Fett. If you play against Boba Fett, you will take Boba Fett and all of the generic cards, and you will mix them up. And now whenever you play, eventually Boba Fett's specific turn will come up, and he will do stuff that's very specific to him. So what that allows for now is that you actually can play against 2 AI opponents. You can play against a smuggler and against a bounty hunter. They redid some of the cards in here, so they've made this deck actually smaller, but again, they've added player characters to this deck so that specific characters will come up and shuffle that deck around. One of the other things that they've added to the game are these rotating cards. So the game comes with this dual-sided card, and if you notice, it has a little arrow in the top corner, and this one is a particular weapon. And when you use it, you will rotate the card, and you will get a big boost. And then now it'll be on this side, and you can either use the action that's here on some of them, or you can do this in order to flip the card back around to ready it. Some of the cargo cards now have multiple destinations. So instead of just delivering one thing, you will deliver one thing, rotate the card, and then move on to another planet. So you will deliver multiple things on one card, which is nice. And the last thing that they added, the last big thing that was added, were multiplayer jobs / encounters. So some of the jobs in the game will require another player to be on your space and will require them to partake in the mission. And that was pretty much everything that was added. So they gave us a bunch of new cards in all of the decks. They gave us a whole new AI opponent deck. They gave us a ton of new ships and a ton of new characters. And the big thing is this Core Worlds space that replaces the original end cap for the Outer Rim, which now allow you to cut across the galaxy, which can help speed up the game with a small price, because these cards aren't always friendly. And that was pretty much it. Let's head back up and see what we thought about the expansion.
And we're back. All right, so you just learned how to play Star Wars Outer Rim Unfinished Business. Now we're going to talk about it. Let's do like last time. Let's start with the cons. I'll go first this time. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So for me, not much change from the base game. You have extra cards in all the decks, but one big thing is this is kind of like a pro and a con. You have the end goals. I forgot what those are called again, where you have to go and
the ambitions.
Ambitions. Okay, so I complained about last time with the game length, and the ambitions are a nice little theme part of it with their little story-driven thing, but then they add to the game length of the game. So I think I'm like an 80-20 on this. 80% a con, because it does just add to the game, and it even says in the expansion book to lower the amount of fame you need in order to try to end the game.
Yeah.
And then you complete your ambitions, but then there's like a little bit at the very last part where you might not even complete it. You have to roll for it. So it's like, and then like the one I had was where you had to go through all the worlds and get an encounter card on each of the worlds. Yeah. And then you had to go to the wormhole, which I forgot what those are called again.
The core worlds spaces.
Core worlds. Yeah, you had to go all the way to one of the core worlds and then roll with you had to roll successfully on 2 of your skills. And it's like, if you failed, I would have to lose one of my encounters. So that would mean I had to leave the core world, go back to one of the encounter worlds, get another one, and then come back and try again. So yeah, this is more like a 90-10 for me, because I got very lucky. I got very lucky after like a 6-hour game. And then I just happened to roll. I was successful on both my rolls and ended the game, just barely. So I could just imagine had I failed, it would have taken me another 2 turns. So yeah, the game length didn't go down for me. So that's kind of like I would have liked a little bit smoother version of the game. And like you were saying in the other video, when you're doing a bounty, you had the extra bit on the expansion cards where you actually flipped over random people around the board, but you still had to travel all the way over there. And, so be it. You had the core worlds where you can do the wormhole jump, but it still didn't really speed the game up at all, which was proven by lowering the fame. So that was a big con for me. And then also I had my encounter, but then I was also Cad Bane. So obviously I had to go and be a bounty hunter. So I ended up staying on some of the worlds like 3 or 4 turns, because I'm sitting there flipping people over. And then before I left, I had to get an encounter. So more actions would have been nice. So that was kind of the same complaint as before. And then you had the orange, encounter people. So those were nice because they gave you a little bit more reward, because I guess they were harder than the regular the ones that came in the base game. But yeah, that was a little tough. And having to deal with that. I did like the fact that they did include the being able to flip over a random person on a different world, so that kind of sped it up just a tad little bit. But yeah, still the game length for me. That's still my biggest con, unfortunately.
I don't know. I mean, my biggest gripe from the base game is being a bounty hunter. Game length, I didn't think they were going to fix game length. I mean, the core game is what it is. Like it's a lot of flying around and looking for stuff, and it's just going to take time. The ambition did add extra time to the game, or it can add extra time to the game if it's counterintuitive to what you're doing. So like the one I had for the ambitions was I needed to retire and not have anyone come after me. And the way I did that was I had to go and buy a plot of land on one of the planets, which I had to spend 20,000 credits to do that. Then I had to have a positive reputation, not neutral, positive with all of the factions. And then there was one other thing I needed to do in between there. I don't remember what that was because there's always 4 things you have to do. And the last one I needed to do was I was like the retiring gambler, right? So I needed to bet a bunch of money to win a ton of money to go retire on. But I was a bounty hunter. So trying to remain good with all the factions was counterintuitive to me being a bounty hunter, because a lot of the times I needed to go after someone, and sometimes whenever you take out a bounty, it decreases fame or decreases reputation with someone because they were affiliated with that particular faction.
Yep.
Or you could take out someone and it would, it'll raise your stuff. So it's just, it can add game length. If the stars align perfectly, you might not have any extra game length if everyone's, abilities lines up. But yeah, I think my biggest con was fixed with the ability to, flip over those tokens. Because in the base game, right, some people don't have a real reason to flip over tokens if they're not a bounty hunter, right? They can flip them over to try and get crew. Mm-hmm. But if they know you're looking for a green bounty, they may just not flip over the green tokens and instead, flip over yellows and whites and leave you to flip over all the greens yourself, because why help you? And in this game, they added that token flip onto the market cards. So you buy a card, it comes up just like that. Before it moves ships around. This one will now flip over a token, so you get multiple token flips on a turn. So that kind of made it a little bit easier to be a bounty hunter, because you can flip over multiple things, right? So you can flip over and have an encounter with someone to try and get crew, and then you can still flip over, one of those other tokens to look for your bounty. So you get multiple chances, right? So you're not wasting a turn on an encounter, which is just flipping it over, because you flip it over and it's like, oh, it's not my bounty. I don't really want to encounter that person, so I'm just not going to. Like, why do I want to encounter, Lobot or whatever the hell his name is, if he's not my bounty and I don't want him as a crew member because he's like one of the lowest forms of characters in the game. So, I think game length is still probably my only big con left. And it's just, if you're a Star Wars fan, that's probably not a bad deal for you. Like you're just going to get, lost in the lore and all the story and buying, fitting out your ship. And I mean, there's so many things you can do in this game. And some people are really going to not mind the length, So I don't know. Game length is probably still my biggest con.
Yep.
But I think they fixed a lot of the problems they had in the base game. They kind of fixed with the expansion. Which is strangely, if you've noticed, when you look at the card numbers in the base game, there were cards missing. Almost as if they knew there was cards coming. Like, it started at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's like a giant gap, and it starts at 25. Like, what happened to cards, 6 through 24? Why wouldn't you just number everything 1 through 50 and then do the next set of cards? It's a little bit fishy. I don't know why it took them 2 years to put out an expansion for a game they already had ready to go.
Oh. They're building up the need, adding that drama to it.
I guess, yeah. They were waiting for people who were clamoring because they knew they would go buy it then. If they released it too fast, people might not have bought it right away. So,
yeah. Good old Fantasy Flight with their mind games. Nobody knows what you're doing.
It's Jedi mind trick.
Jeez. They do that with all their games, apparently. All right. So do you want to talk about the pros now?
Sure. So aside from them fixing the bounty hunter issue, they just added more stuff, right? They added tons of new cards, tons of new adventures. They added tons of new characters, tons of new ships. They added a ton of stuff. I'm kind of the opposite on the ambitions. I like the ambitions. I think it just adds more to do to the game. So in the base game, you have your character, right? And he's got a goal that'll allow him to level up and flip over your card, and you get like extra actions then. And your ship has a goal, so you can. That's one way to like easily get a lot of fame is to complete your character and then buy a ship. Complete that goal, flip it over, then go buy another ship and just flip ships, like you're a house flipper, and just keep flipping them so that you can get fame, like while you're doing other jobs, right? So it might not seem like a good idea to buy a ship after you've already kitted out a ship and made it better and upgraded it from the whatever the base name of Millennium Falcon is to the actual Millennium Falcon, but it's an easy way to fast track fame, right? Because if you flipped over the ship, there's no like extra way to get fame other than those cards. So if you just buy a new ship on a planet, it's like now I got an extra way to get fame. So they added more ships, so you have more goals to go after. But that ambitions card, I think, really adds like an extra level of storyline to your character. It gives you another motivation. And it kind of takes I'm a bounty hunter. Like I said, I was a bounty hunter that was also trying to retire. So it kind of fit, right? Like I want to retire, even though I'm killing everybody. I don't want anybody coming after me at the end. So I could see storyline wise, I could fit that into my story. I'm going out, I'm making a living, taking people. And now I want to retire and not have to worry about, retaliation from any of these people. So not only do I need to capture all these bounties, but I need to get all my fame or all my reputation up so everyone's happy with me. Even though I killed their boy a couple days ago, they're still happy with me at the end. So I like the ambitions. And my other big pro is they added a second AI to the game. So if you're a solo gamer like I am, you can now play against 2 AI players, or you can play against a smuggler or a bounty hunter. They didn't have a bounty hunter in the base game. So now they have a bounty hunter that actually goes out and tries to collect bounties and will come and attack you. If you have a bounty, they have like a whole 3-step plan for how the AI works when it's trying to capture a bounty. So they have like unopposed bounties, opposed bounties, and they will come and attack you now if a crew is if you have a character, they will come and hunt you down. Like you could be Han Solo and they'll flip over a bounty for Han Solo and they'll come for you. And they will fight you and try to take you out. So I do like that. They also added these extra cards. So every AI character has a corresponding, or every character in the game has a corresponding AI card that goes with them. So they do something that's a little bit unique. So it's not the same AI deck again and again. And the way that card works is it'll do something very specific for that character and kind of play on his story or abilities. And then it mixes up that deck. Because the way AI used to work, like you never shuffled it. You just played a card, it went to the bottom, and you just kept cycling the deck over and over again.
Okay.
So now they thinned out the AI deck. Instead of using like 10 cards, you use 5 cards plus that character specific one. So I like that. So if you're a solo gamer, they added, you can now play up to 3 players in solo mode. And I had a good time with it. That's how I played it. Once I learned how to play the game with the new AI stuff, was like, oh, I'm going to try too. And it didn't really add much length to the game. It still moved along pretty quickly. Their turns are very fast. So yeah, those are my pros for the game. I'm the opposite on the ambitions as you, though. Sounds like I really like it.
Okay. Yes, ambitions, thematic. So that adds on to the base game with the theme. So I liked it before. I'll like it again. I like all the different characters, extra characters you get. I like all the extra market cards you get. I was very happy to pick up the EMP grenade because I played that a lot in the TCG, and I was glad to be able to play it again. It's the same artwork from the TCG. So yeah, all the extra stuff, all the extra ships. So the theme added on, and then the ambitions do add on to the theme, gives you an extra story bit. I think I would have liked it. I was just thinking, I think I would have liked it as an alternative instead of adding on to an end game thing. That'd have been nice as like an alternative end game. You don't have to do fame. You can do this ambition. Ambition is could be a little bit harder, but you don't have to, do 8, 10, 12 different jobs and pick up deliveries or kill 5 people in order to end the game. Go do this thing where you travel around and be a gambler, buy some land. So it would have been nice if they didn't stack it. That's what it was. I was just thought about that. That would have been great. Alternative victory condition. Ambition's good. Had they changed that one little thing, I'd have been all on board for that. Once again, story driven. And then the extra gear and the extra ships, the extra character abilities. Also, pro from before that, which I didn't say. I do like the fact that you do upgrade the ships, like you were saying. Yeah. Be able to get extra fame. Also, upgrading the characters and having a different way of getting fame with their player power was pretty nice. So that was pretty good. So it was kind of like an extra action you could do if you had enough. So that way, getting bounties wasn't the only way you can get 2 fame in a turn. You can upgrade a ship, or if you upgraded your character, you'd be able to use their character ability. So I like that as well. I wish I'd have figured that out a little bit earlier in my game when I was playing the expansion. It would have been nice. It would sped the game up a little bit. But yeah, so still trying to figure out everything and learning how to play again because it had been a while since I played the base game. Expansion adds to it. I would say play with the expansion. It doesn't add too much to the game. It's not really complicated, even if you have a new person. There was one new person in our game, and they really couldn't tell the difference. The symbols on the ambitions were a little bit confusing. Which ones were like ongoing and which ones were like one and done type things. But other than that, everything else added to it. And then we help with the market deck. So the base game in this case adds to it. There's always that divide with people of like, should you use the base game or not? This is definitely one of them. Gets the Jim Jam stamp of approval. Yeah. If I have a choice, I'm not playing without the expansion. Simple as that.
Yeah, it mixes in fairly easily. The one thing I forgot, right? We touched on it briefly, but completely glossed over it. I think the biggest pro in this game is the core worlds.
Yes,
I completely forgot to mention it.
Yeah, we did.
The core worlds, as you saw from my overview, allow you to go from one side of the outer rim to the other side. So you don't have to go all the way around the half circle anymore.
Yep.
You can cut across with some risk, right? If you're bad with Imperials, or you don't have good piloting or stuff, you might lose some stuff going through there. But I almost forgot about that. That was on my list of pros. And you talked about it briefly in your cons section of, talking about how, you could get from one end and that was better.
Yeah.
But I forgot to mention it in the pros. Yeah, that's like a really big pro, because that was the big complaint of the first game is, if I got something over here, I now got to go all the way over here to deliver it. Now I can just go, straight through instead of having to go all the way around. So.
Yes, yeah. We've both forgot about that. Yeah, I meant to mention that too. Yeah, big thing, big thing. All right. Any final words there, Lloyd?
No. Yeah, play with the expansion.
Play.
Even if you don't use the ambitions, you want all those extra ships and characters and the core worlds. That's the biggest thing. I will not play without the core worlds ever again.
Yeah,
those other 2 pieces can go in the garbage for all I care. Those
100%
trash.
And 100% agree. All right, so yeah, definitely just got played. Stamp. Play with the core worlds expansion, all that. All right, well, that's it for this video. So catch us next time. Also, comment below and then join the Discord. I forgot to say that last time, but definitely tell us what you think in the comments below and in the Discord. Feel free to debate us. If you have any other Star Wars games that you think are better than this one, I will debate you all day on that one. I can't think of another one that's better. Tell us what your favorite Star Wars video game is. Mine's The Force Unleashed. Didn't get to play Force Unleashed 2, but yeah, Force Unleashed. And then join us in the Discord. But for now, this is Jim Jam. That's Lloyd. And we are Just Got Played. Bye.
Bye.
All right.